Time now for Morning Rounds with CBS News Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. John Lapook and CBS News contributor Dr. Holly Phillips. First up, in a major change of policy, Medicare will now pay for end-of-life counseling for terminally ill patients. Here's John with more.
Amy Berman is a former nurse who now works at a health policy foundation. So 5 years ago, when diagnosed with a rare form of breast cancer, she knew to do her homework.
And what did you find?
It's the worst form of breast cancer to get. Nobody survives it.
When your doctors first discussed your treatment plan, did they ask you, what do you want?
One doctor was perfection. She said, we can try to hold back the cancer, but, not do things that are unnecessary. I went to another doctor, and this other doctor wanted to do the complete opposite kind of care, wanted to throw everything at the cancer, even though it wasn't going to change the outcome.
Berman chose only those treatments that ease pain.
I really wanted to focus on living the best possible quality of life.
Dr. Diane Meyer directs the Center to Advance Palliative Care, an emerging field of medicine that focuses on a patient's quality of life.
At the outset of a serious illness, it's very important to talk with patients and families about what they can expect. What is the natural history of this disease course? What is the time frame?
Now that Medicare will reimburse doctors for advanced care planning and end-of-life discussions, there should be more time for those discussions.
Without those conversations, somebody else is making all the decisions for us.
And for you, that was less aggressive care. For somebody else, it might be more aggressive care.
Right. It's whatever it is that that person is hoping to do for their own health.
The cancer has spread, but Berman is continuing to work and play, living the best life she possibly can.
John, this decision, Medicare covering end-of-life counseling, seems so important.
It is so important, and we are not having these kinds of discussions enough these days. And yet studies show that when you do have the kind of discussions that lead to specialized care and a focus on reducing pain and improving the quality of life, that people do much better. They see the doctor less often, they're hospitalized less often, and there's even evidence suggesting that they live long. We have to do better.
A new study may provide comfort to pregnant women who are diagnosed with cancer. Talk about two hugely life-changing events at once.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, pregnant women who are diagnosed with cancer, they're basically dealt a double whammy, right? They have to feel concerned about the cancer itself, but there are also concerns that treating the cancer may harm the baby. Researchers looked at 129 children whose mothers had received treatment for cancer while they were pregnant. And they compared those children with 129 whose mothers did not have cancer during the pregnancy. What they found was encouraging. Between the ages of 18 months and 3 years, their overall health was the same, their mental development was the same, and their cardiac function was the same. There was an increased risk of premature birth, which carries its own complications. And the study had limitations. Of course, it couldn't look at every possible type of cancer or every possible type of treatment, but overall, the results were very encouraging.
So, John, what does this mean for pregnant women who may get a cancer diagnosis?
Well, no matter what, this is a tough and very scary situation to be in. Now, as Holly says, it's still early. The numbers are small. If you have something that occurs 1 in 1,000, and we're only looking at, say, 120 some odd babies, then we may not have enough people to see that abnormality develop. So it's reassuring that you can have a normal delivery, normal early development, but we need a lot more information.
Finally, a little over a year from now, the Affordable Care Act will require big restaurant chains to put nutrition labeling on their menus. New research finds that rules already in place may not mean we eat fewer calories, but they could lead restaurants to add healthier dishes for customers. We even talked about this in New York City when they did this in 2008. Right. Did it work?
Well, the hope was it was going to work. So they put these calories up. You go into a Starbucks, you see it's several hundred calories. You go, yeah, maybe I won't do that. So they actually did a study, and they compared just before and after the regulation went into effect in 2008. They compared that with 3 points in 2013 to 2014. And they did find that 9% of customers said they used the labels to influence their choices to order fewer calories. However, and this is very clever, they looked at their receipts when they came out. Yeah. They calculated that there was no difference in the amount of calories that they consumed and no difference in the nutritional value of anything that they were eating.
Wow, wow. So, Holly, so customers are actually looking at the information, But it's not necessarily changing behavior? What's happening?
Well, you know what? It's both. When the labels first came out, about half of customers looked at the calorie counts. Now that number's dropping. It's down to only about 37% that bothered to look. And as John mentioned, just a few people actually changed their choices based on the counts themselves. But you know, there is sort of a silver lining here in that the restaurants that had to post calorie counts offered lower calorie fare. You know, on average, their standard meal was 120 calories less than at restaurants that didn't have to post the calorie
So
count.
the incentive may be more directed at the restaurants, actually, than
they're
at the
embarrassed.
customers.
Exactly, and then indirectly, the customers themselves benefit.
Okay, but I mean, aside from doing like a skull with crossbones, how do you make it more effective?
Well, you know, the authors in the discussion said, first of all, you may have to admit that this doesn't work so well and you have to try other approaches. They also came up with other ideas like listing how much exercise you need to do to burn off that muffin that you just ate, or listing how many calories you should have in a day. And then the one that I'm not so sure that anybody's going to do is they said maybe put up a stop sign next to something that may not be so good for you. I can't imagine a restaurant putting a listing something and then a little, like the skull and...
I like the idea.
Have it at your own
I like
risk.
the idea of saying this muffin equals a 3-mile run.
No, I don't. No,
you know?
no, thank you. No, thank you.
That would work for me. All right, Dr. John Lapook, Dr. Holly Phillips, thanks both very much.